Yes. Can
For
you
next
please
time.
stay on mute, Elizabeth? Please stay on mute and switch off your video. Thank you so much. Okay, I think let's officially begin. Sorry about that technical glitch, but we are all here and we are very grateful. So welcome to 2026 and our first masterclass for the year. We are absolutely grateful and we are feeling blessed. And I just really also need to just introduce myself and reintroduce myself. Obviously, some of you know me, some of you may not know me. So I am Mobile Pamela Xaba. I am the co-founder and chairperson for Inspired Growth. And obviously, I do not work alone. We've got our leaders here. We've got our executive director, Dr. Pat Mazibuko. We've got Mary Gedamu, that we'll also see later because she'll also be presenting on our membership campaigns. She is also the co-founder as well as the community lead for Inspired Growth. We also have some of our advisory board members. So for this NPC, as young as it is, we have a full board. We have in total about a board of about 14 individuals, of whom most of them are our advisory board members. So we are just really so inspired, in line with the name Inspired Growth, that we have the opportunity to create these platforms to share with leaders such as yourself. So please be open to engaging and listening. If you find something that resonates to you in terms of the agenda, please then just put it on the chat. We will have time allocated for Q&A. We've got our expert guest that will be engaging us shortly. So just in terms of house rules, Mary, if you can move to the next slide with the agenda. Please switch off your video and stay on mute unless it's time for Q&A and you just really want to engage. So we've got a full agenda, which for the next 90 minutes, as you can see on the screen. So I'm not going to talk to each and every point because it's there on the screen, but I just would really like to welcome everyone for 2026. And we know that January is also a very busy month. You could have been somewhere else this evening. You could be doing other things, but you decided to honor us with your time, which is not something that we take for granted. So we will really appreciate your engagement. And it's really, truly powerful to see leaders, to see professionals, to see entrepreneurs, to see change makers gathered in this space. You know, some of you may have attended our prior master classes and others are joining us for the very first time. So in that context, you are most welcome. And really also before we begin the session, obviously we've noted some housekeeping rules, but we also want to just declare that this session is being recorded and it will be shared on our social media platforms, on our website. We do have a YouTube channel where we house these master classes, and then everyone that has registered and attending today, they will also receive a link to our YouTube channel when they would like to catch up on this masterclass and maybe document some key points that may have resonated with them. So we really appreciate that. And we really also encourage you to engage through the chat. As I've mentioned, your reflections and questions, they really matter here. We are a community and we really appreciate each and every individual that engages with us. So tonight is really not just another webinar. For us, it's a marker. You know, it's how we begin, it's how we open the year together as a community. So we feel very blessed. So Inspired Growth, for those that may be new and you haven't really checked us out, we're quite active on LinkedIn as well. So that we engage our community members. So we do post from time to time information in terms of what we are busy with. But just for context, Inspired Growth NPC is a leadership, it's a belong and inclusion, a platform committed to strengthening leadership pathways across South Africa and increasingly across the continent through some of our strategic partnerships that we have engaged with and that we'll continue to engage with in the new year as well. I would also just like to remind everyone that as you come in, please switch off your video and stay on mute. Thank you so much. So our work really sits at the intersection of leadership development, at the intersection of career acceleration and ecosystem collaboration. We bring together individuals, we bring together organizations and institutions who believe that leadership must be intentional, that leadership must be inclusive, that leadership must also be impactful. So we do not just host conversations for the sake of dialogue. We design spaces that build capability. We design spaces that foster connection. We design spaces that lead to action, whether that's in careers or it's in organizations or it's in communities or it's in systems. So we are really, really highly inclusive. So also just for context, in terms of our strategic context, so 2026 is a very important year for us at Inspired Growth. It's our strategic intent for 2026 is very clear, right? Which really says that we want to strengthen national leadership and inclusion impact, while also ensuring strong governance, while also ensuring financial sustainability and also scalable delivery through strategic partners. And really, in practical terms, for us, this means that we need to deepen leadership pathways, we need to expand our membership base, we need to scale and deliver high impact events and summits. We also need to be disciplined about how we measure the outcomes in terms of the initiatives that we engage with. So everything that we do and that we will do this year, including tonight being our first masterclass, is really aligned to that direction in terms of our strategic intent for the year. So while we're at this, we're also very important that we need to highlight the role of this monthly masterclass series, because we started the series in November of last year, and it really plays a central role in our 2026 strategy as well. This series really exists to ensure a year-round leadership learning and engagement platform, not just in moments, because it's a nice thing to do, but it's really to build momentum and visibility and impact as well. And also these master classes are designed to build practical leadership and coaching capability. They are designed to strengthen visibility, to strengthen voice and influence, to create a sense of belonging and shared learning across sectors, and also to serve, of course, as an entry point into the broader Inspired Growth ecosystem and some of our international partners that you will be introduced to in the next few coming weeks. So also this series or these master classes, they also connect directly to our flagship events that we will do later this year, where we will take these conversations on another level, deeper and wider as well. So when you show up here, you are not just attending a session, you are participating in a leadership journey. So as we move then into tonight's masterclass, we invite you to be present, not just as an observer, but also as a participant, So you need to just listen to what resonates with you. You need to also notice what may challenge you as we unpack the agenda, also with our expert guests and some of our leaders, as well as our advisory board member that we are spotlighting, as you can see on the agenda that is in front of you. So you also just need to consider how you will take what you learn here into your work, into your leadership, and into your life. So thank you for choosing to begin this year, 2026, with us at Inspired Growth. And with that, so because obviously, we've got limited time, so I cannot talk on and on and on. So I just really need to then move over to our next item, and which I'm just really, really deeply excited by. But, before actually I introduce, let me just backtrack. Before I introduce our expert guest, let me afford our executive director, as well as our co-founder, Mary, to just also briefly introduce themselves, just not more than 30 seconds or more than 45 minutes. And I will not ask Mr. Veli Ndaba to introduce himself, because then I will introduce him when his lot comes much later on. So if Dr. Pet, you can put your video on and just introduce yourself, set the tone in terms of who you are. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chair. A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are honored that you've joined us this evening. It's all about leadership. And in the interest of time, I just want to say, please pay attention, be part and parcel of this movement at this moment in time. By the end of the session, I'm sure you have learned something. I thank you. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pet. And over to you, Mary.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you are doing well. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We know everyone is busy. You have a busy schedule, so we really appreciate your presence here. My name is Mary Gedamu. I am the co-founder and community lead at Inspired Growth. And I like to tell this story all the time. Pam and I actually met on LinkedIn. That's how we connected. So if you have a chance, if you can just please share maybe your LinkedIn profile, the link to your LinkedIn profile in the chat, so that we can all connect. Thank you so much, Pam. Over to you.
Thank you so much. So with that, and let me just really introduce our expert guest. And it is really my pleasure to actually then transition us into the next item of our program. And with that, would like to welcome Mr. Batabile Sibaca, who is a seasoned facilities management professional with extensive experience in delivering efficient, sustainable, and high-performing built environments that support organizational success. And he's driven by a strong passion for excellence in facilities management. So Mr. Batabile has established a respected leadership presence within the industry. This expertise has led to active leadership roles across the sector, including serving as a board member, as well as the president of the South African Facilities Management Association, where he contributes to shaping industry standards, shaping governance and strategic direction. So with that, Mr. Batabile Sibaca, welcome. How are you? Would love to see you. If you can put on your video and unmute for us.
Good evening, Pam. Thank you so much for that overwhelming, nice introduction. I'm very humbled to be here this evening. I do support the movement of Inspired Growth. I'm humbled to be here because the co-founder of your organization is a former mentor of mine, Dr. Mazibuko. So it's humbling to be here. To the guests, I'm Batabile Sibaca. Thank you so much for the time. And if you don't mind, Pam, I've got a one slide presentation. I just want to flag up. I don't believe in
Awesome. Go for
PowerPoint
it.
because I just wanted to, there we go. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yep.
Okay, so again, my name is Batabile Sibaca. I am, various things. I wear many hats. I think first and foremost, a lover for the facilities management and property industry. I have got 14 years experience within the facilities and property management industry. My educational background is solely from Wits University, although I grew up in the Western Cape, schooled in the Western Cape, and then attended tertiary at Wits. I also, for my sins now, do serve as the president of the South African Facilities Management Association, called SAFMA. But what we've got on the screen is just, before I get into details, just my journey of just where I come from in terms of the start of my career to date. Because what's important is just for the audience to appreciate the journey it takes sometimes to become someone that can be viewed as an expert in the field. I've come to realize it takes years of hard work, dedication, humbleness, humility, and just faithfulness. I am a man of God, and I'm glad that I met a man of God in Dr. Pat. So it was easy to align thinking, ethos in life, and just and passion for work. So for those that don't know the facilities management industry, it is the management of assets, building assets, properties. So if you think about shopping centers, airports, corporate parks, it is the management thereof. The problem with the industry nowadays is there is no clear differentiation between real estate management in terms of property management and facilities management. And I think it's important for everyone to understand that property management is more along the lines of leasing out buildings and managing tenants, just like in shopping centers. And there's a whole association for that as well called SAPOA, which I'm sure that you all know of, the South African Property Association. However, we fall under the other spectrum, which is the services industry, and the services being all services in the building, from the soft services, which includes cleaning, hygiene, landscaping, pest control, waste management, utilities management, to more the hard services, managing hard physical assets like HVAC systems, fire systems, um, generators, UPSs, EPSs, all the hard systems that are in a building to contain its efficiency. So my journey from the bottom left to the bottom right started off as a site engineer. I studied construction management and economics at Wits University, got my degree, got my honors, and then I initially wanted to uh, be more within the building and construction space. Unfortunately, I only lasted 1 year because I realized quickly that it's not my passion. Um, I was part of the projects team that built the Cecil head office in Sandton. At the time, it was the biggest corporate construction project in the country with 1.4 billion rand. However, after I think I had built about 12 stories within that 12-month period, and I quickly jumped ship because it just wasn't aligned to what I envisioned for the real estate industry for myself, that is. I then joined a company called Campus Group, which is the third biggest facilities management. I think it is. I stand to be corrected across the globe. It had a head office in Bryanston, and that is where I got exposed to the actual facilities management industry. Now, when I first joined, I couldn't. So was there a question? Okay. I couldn't quite understand what the industry is, and I was lucky to get a mentor there as well, that explained the dynamics of facilities management, the management of services, how FM is not, we call it FM, facilities management. It is not a glorious industry. Um, when things are running well, it excels. No one knows the staff, the people. Only when there's issues in a facility and within a building is when a lot of people start making noise about the management thereof, the services, and that is when the FM team comes to the fore and starts shining as to who they are and what they do. So it's not a glorious industry, but it is critical for the maintenance of buildings, but also for the life cycle management of assets. Without it, the investment and the millions and billions that go into building buildings um, would not be feasible. So yeah, I joined the campus group and I spent a couple of years. I was part of the management team that ran the Vodacom portfolio, the Vodacom facilities management portfolio. I think back then was with 500 million in terms of the management services. We did that across the country, but I was based at the head office in Vodacom in Midrand and managed the country through that office. And we were also exposed to running the De Beers and the Anglo properties across the country, as well as the Philip Morris facilities, that Philip Morris, the tobacco company. Um, Again, with Campus Group, I after 3.5 years, I left because I was headhunted by Bidvest FM, my third job. It is at Bidvest where I am so grateful that I moved and I took that transition because I met Dr. Pat Mazibuko, the co-founder of Inspired Growth. At the time, Dr. Pat was the group executive at Telkom, well-respected man, just a bunch of knowledge and expertise, and a lot of people leaned on him for leadership and guidance. I specifically remember when I was at Telkom, when I met him, it was in a meeting with my management team, and from that meeting, I went straight to his office. He didn't know who I was. He but it took a meeting of 20 minutes to realize that this man is blessed with knowledge, blessed with just a humble man that is the future of SA leadership. And I was very green, I was very young, I was very ambitious, I was very hungry. And I went to his office and I was like, Dr. Pat, my name is Batabile, and I want you to mentor me. Um, Very bold. I had nothing to lose. And I'm a mentor to them myself. And I keep telling mentees that you cannot be shy for your own success. You have got to punch above your weight. You have got to enter rooms that you think you don't deserve to be in. And you've got to knock on doors that you think you don't deserve to knock on to succeed in life. Dr. Pett, I think, was amazed at my boldness, and he warmly accepted me and took on the journey of mentoring me. We set up sessions where every single morning at 6 o'clock, strictly on Wednesdays, we would meet. Every single Wednesday was at 6 o'clock. I think a good year, a good 6 months to a year, where he would give me tasks and I would present to him my findings, my solutions, my ideas, and he would scrutinize, critic, and give me advice. And that is how I think I learned, probably in my personal view now, and when I look back in hindsight, probably 5, 6 years worth of leadership within the space of 12 months, because of just the lessons and the learnings I took from his mentorship. And I say all this and I spend time on this because I think I have managed to go from being a junior site engineer to heading up the industry body for the industry within a space of 9 years, not because of sheer luck. I think what I've learned and my humility from the mentors that I've come across has really, really shaped my understanding of leadership, my understanding of management, my understanding of just being humble in terms of knowing what you don't know, well, what you don't know, saying it, understanding what you don't know, asking the right questions, not being boastful, and always remaining humble and having a humble heart, because yeah, it really has elevated myself. So at Bidwest FM, when I was there, I was the regional manager in charge of the Northeast region, I think it was, which included the likes of Pretoria, the head office of Telkom and Centurion, um, the Limpopo region, the Northwest region, and I had a big team, and there were also very, very strong managers around me. But ultimately, I was the head of the region and entrusted to ensuring that we managed Telkom's real estate assets very well. And at the time, and I think it still is, that Telkom facilities management portfolio or real estate portfolio is the biggest FM contract in the country. I think right now, as it stands, it is worth 450 million rand a year, in terms of just general FM management services. Um, and the asset value for those assets, yeah, I think are north of 2 or 3 billion rand. So it was really a privilege at my age, and I think at the time, Dr. Pett would laugh with me. I will not laugh with me, but be quite impressed. I think I was 27 or 28 when I was heading up the most important region for Telkom, for the biggest FM contract in the country. Um, and it was very humbling to get that position at that age. Um, so I think after the Telkom journey, or when I was still busy with my head down focusing on it, um, I've always been ambitious, and I was approached by Serviest, which is again another very big FM company in this country. It is easily in the top five. I was approached to become a GM at Serviest, to head up the parking and the technical services division. Um, and when I started a service, within 6 months, I was elevated to head up the continent for about 5 countries, to head up Africa for them, for those divisions. And it just happened all quickly. And it was again through my acknowledgement of humility that I did not allow that to get to my head. I understood it's a privilege to be entrusted with heading up a continent at a very young age. And Dr. Pat again was by my side, guiding me, supporting me, and just being the mentor that he is. I think what I quickly learned when I was heading up Africa is that as South Africans, we are very privileged with the status of our real estate, of our infrastructure, and how advanced we are versus Africa. I think I can safely say we are the most advanced and most developed country in the continent. Probably second closest, probably Egypt for my travels and experience, then closely being Kenya and Rwanda now recently. But again, I learned a great deal of knowledge heading up Africa because I was forced to deal with a lot of my African brothers and sisters in terms of their portfolios in Africa. I had to spearhead and guide and lead them. People that are probably some people at the time were double my age, seeking guidance, knowledge, and advice from myself. So I quickly had to also understand that what I don't know, I had to quickly understand and go learn and seek up that knowledge to guide them. And yeah, it really, really was quite amazing. I was specifically heading up Nigeria, out of Lagos and Abuja, also in Kenya, out of Nairobi, in Uganda, out of Kampala, in Malawi, out of Lilongwe and Blantyre. We had Namibia as well, mainly focusing on in Windhoek and Walvis Bay, and we had Zambia as well. We had operations, strong operations out in Lusaka. We headed up the airport there and ran that operation. So, and it was very interesting to understand the dynamic, the thinking, and just the the understanding of facilities management in the different countries that we headed up. And again, I think at Service, I spent a good 5 to 6 years in that company before I was headhunted by the Bro Property Group. Now, I know most of you probably know Bro because they are a well-established, strong, powerful, and yeah, well-known and company in the country and across Africa. I was headed by their group CEO, Malcolm Hoon, amazing man, and I remember he took well, I think, to my journey, to my experience, to my hunger, and again, to me, it was the next big step because I wasn't. I never thought I would be heading towards Brawl, and Brawl being known as a property management company, they had ambitions of building out a very strong facilities management leg cluster, and to compete with the best in the country. So they had ambitions to compete with the likes of Bidvest and Tables and Service, and they still do. And yeah, I was very privileged to be there, and specifically focusing on South African and operations. Although there was a lot of MDs and CEOs in the various countries that Brawl manages. I think it's over 13 countries, tend to be corrected, and I think more than that. But we focus mainly on South Africa, and again, I think when I was abroad, it was a different dynamic because I got exposed to not just operation strategy and 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 um, and property management out of Africa. But I think the biggest learnings came from managing the dynamics of government and private sector interactions because at that level, as a group executive, funny thing is you don't realize how much time you spend in stakeholder relations, dealing with ministers, dealing with TDGs, dealing with other CEOs, uh, yeah, dealing with very, very high-end individuals in the country that are very influential, that make decisions that affect the entire country. So the bulk of my work went, and thank you to Malcolm Hoon's leadership and guiding me, but went into dealing with stakeholders and dealing with dynamics at that level and dealing with politics at that level, which are not easy. And so for myself, again, it was all very exciting, very overwhelming to some degree, and you don't get people. And I was very privileged because I realized not many people get to those levels that I got to at my age. Um, and so, yeah, it was I was very blessed because I think people keep telling me that the jobs that I've held and the position that I've led at certain age brackets of my life are people's dreams and goals for their entire careers. And so it really is humbling to understand the journey. And again, I thank God for it because I am nothing without God. And I think He understands my career journey and He's been leading my way and my vision and trust Him with the journey. I think it came to everyone's shock when I left the Broad Property Group and I decided to enter an entrepreneurship phase of my life. I opened up my own facilities management company. I am the founder now of Sibaca FM. Um, it is Batabile Sibaca, but depending on this on certain sectors and corners in South Africa, the pronunciation is pronounced very differently, which I try to correct people, but I think I've come to realize that South Africans are they're interesting animals and not animals, but interesting people when it comes to dynamics. And so they'll pronounce something the way they think is most comfortable to them. So there's various versions to the name. There's Sibaca, which is the natural cultural name of the company. There's Sibaca FM. There is Sibaca for people that prefer to give it a bit of a nice twist. Um, but I think what really drove me to this was I had spent over 10 years just focusing on understanding the industry, understanding dynamics of the industry, understanding the politics, understanding just the variations of the industry. And I had always just climbed the corporate ladder and been grateful for my positions, but there was always this push deep in my heart that one day I need to have my own company because I understood that my version of true success, not everyone's, but my version of true success was always meant to be through ownership, through true leadership in having full control of a business and not reporting to a board or an executive team and again, nothing wrong with that. But again, I understood that with what I'd done with the period that I'd done it at, I had a unique chance to do my own, open up my own entity. And so I opened it up in 2024, and it is because of my name that we have been receiving the kind of work contracts and success that we have because I've quickly learned as an entrepreneur that a company is a company. You can open it tomorrow and get the documents. But the only way you get traction in the market is through reputation. And the only way you get work with from that is if people know what you've done. They understand what you've done, they've seen your CV, they know what companies you've worked for. And so what I didn't realize is over the years in corporate, I had built up a very strong brand of who I am, what I've done, and what I can do across Africa and across the continent. And so when I opened up a company, it was obviously any SMME in the beginning, it was very tough, very, very tough. We had to manage cash flow issues, financial issues. Um, but we scaled and we are still growing and at the rate that we've been scaling at purely because of reputation. Um, I did not take branding too seriously until I had my own company. People do business with you because they like who you are, they respect who you are, and they understand what you can do. So I became a brand, and it's been growing because I'm a brand. I've been blessed by God to also have the right type of shareholders and partners by my side. I've always understood that my gift and calling is leadership and strategy to some degree. However, there's certain aspects that I realize that I need expertise by my side to create a very, very sound and strong FM company. And it's with that said that I understood that I needed very strong shareholders and partners by my side that are strong in the likes of compliance and technology and finance and sustainability. And so, yeah, the company, with that said, we focus more now on energy and sustainability solutions. We focus at the heart of the company, though, is technology. I opened up a company to redefine the FM space through technology. Um, and so we focus a lot on that. We've got solutions, softwares and software solutions, hardware solutions, and we've partnered with our companies as well, depending on the type of asset to ensure that we provide a client with the right solution. Um, And yeah, so what I've done very well with the team, I think we've signed strategic MOUs with specialist companies in certain fields that ensure that in whatever asset that we manage, we have got best-in-class services and best-in-class expertise. And so we value partnerships because we've grown the way we've grown at the rate we've grown at because of partnerships. Um, so that's been a very strong angle to our growth. But also with me running the business with the team as the founder and CEO, but with the team as well. Um, my other lifeline hat is SAFMA. Thank you to the Bro Property Group at the time when I was a bro. I was enrolled as a board member of SAFMA, the South African Facilities Management Association. And at the time, I was very comfortable with having or heading my portfolio at SAFMA and driving it. But again, I think through God's blessings, the board realized I think within 9 months that I needed to be more than just a director and a portfolio head. And it was voted at the AGM that I should be the president and head up the association. Um, at the time, I wasn't sure if I was ready for that kind of responsibility and pressure, but I think I've always had the right board and support, and they announced me as their head in 2024. And so I'm faced with a dynamic now in life where I wear two hats depending on just the situation in the room, that I've got to always declare that I'm the SEPMA president. I think it's right from an ethics perspective as well, to ensure that people understand what you do and for you not to cross any ethical or conflicts in different environments. And at SAFMA is 25 years old as this year. We are the longest standing facilities management association across Africa. We are the biggest in the continent. We are the strongest in the continent, and we provide support through standards, designations, education across Africa. We are now looking at branching off into other African countries. We have got part of the strategy going forward from this year is to open up chapters in the likes of Namibia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, possibly Botswana, but just across SADC, and then we'll look at possibly Central to North Africa later on. We work closely with an association called Africa FM, which is the governing body for the continent. However, Africa FM is a couple of years old, so they're still finding their bearings, and they lean a lot on us as SAFMA for guidance and support and leadership. So um, our ambition is to be the go-to association for anything facilities management across the continent. Um, and we and as early as last year, um, I was also well, I'm still being enrolled, but it's to be announced quite shortly. To be for myself to be enrolled as a board member in Global FM, which is the governing body for the globe. Um, Global FM has got all the continental heads in across the world in their body, but also the country heads as well. So it is important for myself to ensure that once I'm fully activated and on the board, to ensure that whatever standards, decisions, strategies, trends that are discussed at those forums globally, that are passed on to Africa FM and as well as to SAFMA as well. So I think it's a massive blessing to be in this position at this period of my life, at this age of my life, because it is for my side a responsibility to ensure that I lead well, I direct well, and I impart my knowledge on similar-minded individuals, um, the youth of today, because I'm also on the technically can be considered youth, but yeah, I'm on the more older side of things. So it is with pride to know that um, I've reached heights at this level this quickly, but now the responsibility is to ensure that I become the leader that the younger me and younger graduates and younger youth within the FM and property space want to see. Um, And 6 months ago, I decided to join an association called CBES, which is again also an NPO, as a mentor, um, purely because I realized part of my calling is to give back in terms of mentorship and knowledge, because also I was mentored. I was given a chance by Dr. Pat, and I don't think I would be where I am without just that strong mentorship and experience that I gained back then. So I do mentor now. So I'm juggling that in terms of bi-weekly sessions, mentoring students, mentoring young professionals within the various sectors within real estate, and heading up SAFMA and heading up the business as well. I am a family man. I've got 3 kids, married, 5 years of marriage as of this year. And it really is a blessing to have a family, because it really is the bedrock of what I do. I get my strength from God, and number two, from the family and from my wife and kids. And I could not do what I do without them. And I think I say all these things because people want to quickly become experts in the field, in energy, in water, in ESG, in IoT, in all these spheres within real estate. But the key to success of being an expert is your foundation and your bedrock, and you've got to understand what your purpose is. You've got to understand um, just your true north. And funny enough, the first time I heard the word true north was from Dr. Pat back then. He kept asking me what my true north is, and I had to go back home and do some research. Um, and yeah, so you can't become an expert unless you understand the fundamentals of your industry. You've got to understand, and I'll use an example of the likes of energy, because we all understand the crisis that the country is in when it comes to energy. We know what happened in the past couple of years with load shedding, and we keep talking about what's the solution, who's at the helm. We want to get experts in, but those experts, 9 times out of 10, from people that I've met that are experts in those fields as well, they have come from a background of real estate and understanding the concepts of energy from fundamental level, operational level, having been operational managers, having been building managers, having furthered their studies in a master's field within energy. And so they've got a grounding to them. They understand what they must do. And they don't just wake up and become experts. And I think for myself, I'm humbled by the term experts, because in every corner that I go to, I'm sometimes referred as that, and it's very humbling each time I hear that. But I think when it comes to FM specifically, I've had to spend time and effort and and time again to understand, when it comes to cleaning, what are the solutions, what's the best strategy for that field, when it comes to hygiene, when it comes to landscaping, when it comes to waste management. And my responsibility, and I think my expertise, is to ensure that I govern all those services and give every single service line and those companies an opportunity within the FM space to grow. And so it's a very complex industry. It's very broad. It's not easy to govern and lead it. But I've through SAFMA, through my experience, and through these companies, I've found models and solutions to ensure that all those role players get an opportunity within a building to get opportunities to work and make revenue. And so I think, with that said, Pam, I've said a lot, and I see you've you you've put your mic on, because you know that I must wrap up. Um, I can't. I've got so much in my head in terms of to speak about in closing before the Q&A sessions. But I think what I do want to say in closing is, first and foremost, I will not be where I am again without the blessing from the Almighty God above. But also, second to that, I am grateful for the leaders that have come before me and the mentors that have mentored me. And one specifically that sticks out all the time is Dr. Pat. As I think sometimes all my achievements and all my just my growth, he takes so much pride, as if he's living through me as well. And I'm really grateful to that. But one must be mentored, one must be led, one must lead from being mentored. We don't know better until we are taught better, and it becomes critical for you to understand that. And I think, Pam, I'll leave it at that for now. Happy to take the questions. Thank you very much.
Oh, awesome. Where do we even begin? What an inspiring journey. Batabile, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence, but also just telling this journey with such grace and humility, because really, true to the name of this organization, Inspired Growth, is to make sure that the leaders that join, the young professionals, the entrepreneurs, the change makers, they leave these sessions and these master classes truly, truly, truly inspired. So, and we also want it to be an engaging. Maybe you can stop sharing so that we can see you fully, and make this an engaging session. So we'd ask that maybe Dr. Pet come in. Your name has been mentioned quite a lot by Batabile. And so, as this really, really wonderful mentor that you are, I mean, I've only known you for like, what, 4 months? And yeah, so I'll tell my story one day, but it's not about me. So we just like you to say a few words in the context of Batabile's journey, and then we'll open the virtual floor for our leaders that have graced us here. For those that want to ask questions and engage with our guest, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks a lot. And again, good evening to those that came in late. Batabile, I am humbled. I'm lost for words, but you've made me proud. And everything that is said, it's exactly what happened. And Pam, I was very hard on him. I made it a point that he gets to the office at 5:45 so that we could start at 6 o'clock. And he was always there. And I love that. But Batabile, one thing that you've said, I just want to just reflect, is that his success is the foundation of your, sorry, you put it as well, key success is your foundation, and you said it's True North, which we spoke about. So I just want to ask just one question because of time, Pam, is the fact that what is one key leadership trait that one requires in order to be a successful FM expert? Just that question, and then we'll be able to afford other people some opportunities. But Tabitha?
Thank you, Dr. Pat. What a question. There's so many in my mind. I think again, I'll take it back to my experience and my knowledge. I think what one key thing from my side is I've had to guide and lead through listening well. Leaders are, from what I've seen, are quick to answer and present and bring about solutions without understanding the true fundamental issues for entrepreneurs and for different sectors. So you have got to ensure that and it's a skill and not just a trait. You've got to know, you've got to be almost an expert at listening well, at understanding the message behind the message, of what someone is needing and what a company is needing and what solutions are required. And you've got to have a 5 to 10 year view in mind when you give that answer. So it's in my mind, it's a skill of listening. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Thanks,
But I think
thanks,
there's
Batabile.
a lot in
Maybe
it.
just to set the tone, as Pam has asked me, this is how I would want us to set the tone. Batabile, how does FM add to the reputation of the client and to the success of that particular client?
So every single client, Dr. Pat, and I think to the guests, every single client wants to sweat out their assets for the long term. They want to get the best value for money ROI out of the building. A building, investors and clients spend billions and millions building up these fancy structures, and in their minds, the asset should be viable and be stretched out to more than 20 years, easy. And so, as an FN industry, our solutions have got to be presented and planned out in a way to ensure that that asset is sweated out as long as possible. So we've got to ensure from an energy perspective that we bring about the right solutions, whether it is battery packs, whether it's solar, whether it is water solutions, and the technology that we bring to the fore. So for an investor, they want best value for money. They want to see returns long term. because they are banking on that asset to become eventually their retirement plan. From an FM provider's perspective, whatever compliance elements, solutions, chemicals, you name it, has got to be aligned to that. And so, yeah, I think I'll leave it at that. That's what they want. That's what we provide. And the solutions that we bring to the fore nowadays ensure that the operating costs to clients are as low as possible. And the only way we can do that is to ensure that we limit the expenditure. So, for example, the utilities bills, whether it's water and whether it's power, it is those are the biggest cost to running a facility, any type of facility. And therefore, we ensure that we bring about the best utilities platforms to limit, for example, basic things like leakages. Because you get the right systems to detect leakages, you ensure that there is no wastage of water. That obviously translates to ensuring that the water bill is optimized. And secondly, saving with power as well. There's an echo. Okay, thanks, Dr. Pat. Saving with power as well. The solar solution, well, all the energy solutions that we bring to the fore, reduce the energy bill. And ultimately, long story short, all we do is ensure that the profit margins for a client are maximized month to month. That's all they want to see. You can bring about fancy presentations, that kind of thing, but ultimately clients want to see profits month on month and quick ROI on the investment. Thank you.
Thank you, Batabile. Back to Pam.
No, thank you so much, Batabile and Dr. Pet. Let us just take maybe questions from our leaders that have joined in the call. So if anyone has a question for our guests, in the context of what they've shared with us, and if something really resonated with you or challenged you, and you are becoming more and more curious, especially in this space, in the leadership context, this is your chance really to unmute, share your video, pose your question. You're also more than welcome to put your comments on the chat as well. So let's just see if we have a hand. Anyone that would like to engage? So we would like to believe that maybe it's not an intimidating topic, you know. So on that note, I would put someone on the spot, you know. So I don't know. There's a name that my eyes just landed on here, and it's Thabo Mboweni. He's been very active on LinkedIn, following this post since we started posting it. So I'm curious if Thabo, you would have something to say in the context of what Batabile has shared with us. Sorry to put you on the spot, but we need some engagement here. So let us not be shy. Thank you so much, Thabo.
Not a problem. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Pam. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm very I'm gonna be honest, I'm out of words, I'm speechless with regards to Batabile's experience and everything. He is a true inspiration. He is a true inspiration. I've been in the industry for a very long time myself, most of my age. However, because of what he's achieved, he's also made me see things in a very holistic view rather than focusing mainly on nationally South Africa, if I may put it like that, because this is my home country. But honestly, I don't have any questions. He said more than more than enough already, of which it made me go think that I need to plan my life in a more open-minded way rather than the way I was currently looking at things. I must say you are a true inspiration, my brother. I hope more people can know about you. You are a true inspiration.
Thank you so much. No, thank you so much, Thabo, and thank you for being so open to being put on the spot. We really appreciate you. I see we also have a hand from Mr. Veli Ndaba, and we also have a question in the chat here from Zintle Ndandani. She's asking, what top 3 challenges in FM that impact, what are the top 3 challenges in FM that impact quality FM in SA?
Can I answer that or Mr. Veli
Yeah,
first?
maybe briefly, because we're on top of the hour, it's like 7 o'clock, yeah, but maybe just briefly. Yes, over to you, Batabile.
Okay, Zinhle, thank you for the question. First challenge is cost. It's a typical saying in FM. You get what you pay for. So due to the nature of the economy and just the pressures of the market right now, most clients don't have money, so they expect a quality service, they expect the strong returns, they expect facilities to last beyond 30, 40 years, but they don't have the cash flow and the capex for that. And so with minimal OpEx available month to month to manage a facility, the quality is unfortunately dampened because quality is a direct translation into the investment that you put into it. So, for example, you can't invest millions into a smart building with a BMS system and the likes of IoT devices, meters, sensors, and have a FM system that costs millions again to manage a facility without spending money. So I think cost is a massive one. Again, and the second one for me is standards. I think the lack of standards, the knowledge of ISO standards and FM is really crippling the industry. Because again, our standards that we focus on at SAFMA and with all these big corporate companies are international standards that are linked to standards that IFMA and Global FM have. And so what tends to happen is that companies appoint service providers with no credentials, and we call them sometimes the industry Baki brigades that are not certified, not qualified, not trained enough. And so that does impact the quality of the building. And yeah, lastly, quality. I think I'll put it into the essay context. I think what we've seen is just the pressure of the financial pressure that's coming to the industry, and that's forced a lot of people to cut costs and to optimize. And unfortunately, when you cut costs and optimize, the quality will be affected directly. So yeah, I think I'll leave it at that for now.
Yeah, so you've got a thumbs up from Zinhle, so I'm sure she's been answered. Thank you, Zinhle. And then we've got a hand from Mr. Veli Ndaba, and then also from Gerson. So Mr. Ndaba, briefly, in the interest of time, as well as Gerson, in the interest of time. I think Mary's hand is down. She also had a hand up. So we'll start with you, Mr. Ndaba.
Thank you very much, Pam. Batabile, what a journey, my brother. Congratulations, and keep shining all the way. So a quick question. In your leadership journey, did you ever have to find yourself letting someone go because they were a wrong fit or they were a pig that was expected to fly?
Mr. Ndaba, good question. And yes, I've let a lot of pigs go. Pigs. I think just for me, it's a discipline thing. I think one thing that's allowed me to excel in my career is I've been unwavering when it comes to discipline and morals and values. I've done my utmost best to impart knowledge and expertise in terms of mentorship and support and books um, and even funding for varsity for a lot of my younger employees and graduates and former colleagues. But I've just seen it success is within. You've got to be intentional, you've got to be disciplined, you've got to want to be taught and grow. And so for I've not hesitated to unfortunately let people go and dismiss where required because you've got to quickly, I always say, you got to quickly get rid of the riffraff to ensure that the ones sitting at home praying that are focused and dedicated get a chance. So I've done that a few times.
Awesome, right? So thank you so much, Mr. Ndaba, for that. It's really more about accountability. So thank you. So let's move over to Gerson, just also briefly.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pat. And also, I'm also echoing what the previous speakers have spoken about before me. Batabile, nice journey. I'm sitting here with my wife, and we are looking at how you have structured your journey and the road, which is endless there. and it's just giving a good journey, continuing as well. So my question is just, leading, you look fairly young, if I can put it like that, but how is your leading, especially you being managers of many people, especially leading older people? I know obviously leadership has nothing to do mostly with age also. It's mostly the help of God that you, wisdom and humility that you usually utilize there. But how was your journey leading different people from different age groups? Yeah.
Good question. Thanks, guys. So I think, yeah, it's quite obvious that I am fairly still young, and I hope to stay young for some time, but I know that's not gonna happen. It's been tough because from day one, I've always led people older than me till today. So everyone looks to me for guidance, leadership, and direction, but they also are cognizant that I'm younger than them. I think what stood out is my maturity level has come to the fore. People I've seen, they resonate well with leaders that are mature. They don't focus on age, they focus on just your stature and who you are. I've led from the majority of my employees that I've led are from different races and cultures. And so it's been a challenge, but I think because of my foundation and my schooling, because I went to I must say, a good school in the Western Cape, a boys' school, and again, I went to a good university. I think that the building blocks of my foundation, my education, has enabled me to seamlessly lead people that are older than me because I've built up that confidence at a young age. And so I always keep telling parents, just don't waver with education with your kids. When kids have got a strong education background with strong building blocks, when it comes to corporate and the workspace, nothing intimidates them. And so with myself as well, as young as I was, nothing ever scared me. And I think it's important to start understanding and where I don't know. As a leader, I say I don't know, but I will go investigate, I'll go research and come back with answers. So I've tried to lead with humility and try to lead with service first. But yeah, or not with arrogance and not with cockiness. So I hope that answers the question. But yeah, it's not been easy, but people have liked the fact that I've always been honest, humble, and disciplined in my leadership.
Awesome. No, thank you so much. Mary, you're going to have to forgive me, and I can do this to you because you are my fellow co-founder. We are really running out of time.
No
It is now
worries.
7:10. And but I mean, we connected to Batabile. You can always reach out to him and ask him any question,
Yes,
after this call. But we also have two questions in the chat that I would like to note, but maybe not for you to answer right now, but I believe in the interest of time. But I'm just really going to encourage the leaders that have posed these questions to reach out to you on LinkedIn, engage with you, because also the purpose of these master classes is that we're building community. So we highly encourage, our leaders that join the master classes to actually then, interact with some of the leaders like yourself, Batabile. Obviously, when you have time and capacity to engage and answer some of these questions. So, Mpho, we know that you've posed a question that says, what role should facilities management play in reclaiming hijacked buildings, especially with the recent matter of DJ Waras trying to fight these hijacked buildings? So this is like a topic on its own. So you see, because if we start this topic, we will finish at like 9 p.m. So Paul, please, I encourage you to just pick Batabile's brain on LinkedIn, send him a private chat, and when he gets to it and he has time, he can then engage with you. And also, you also pose that what role does technology play in your leadership style today compared to when you started in your journey FM? So this is still Mpho. So Batabile Mpho has got a lot of questions. So Mpho, please do reach out on LinkedIn, find him on LinkedIn and follow him and engage with him, and he will answer you when he has time. Thank you so much. So unfortunately, we are really, really running out of time. So let's move on. Thank you so much, Batabile. We appreciate your grace and joining us and sharing your inspiring journey. Thank you so much. So Mary, I'm going to hand over to Mary. Mary, I know that we had initially given you 10 minutes, but seeing that, you know how to just pose these things and So Mary being our co-founder and community lead, so we thought, let us engage the leaders for the next 5 minutes, Mary, 5 minutes, to just highlight, how do you become the member of Inspired Growth? So most of the information is available on our website anyway, which is www.inspiredgrowth.co.za. But Mary, just enlighten us just for 5 minutes, key points, highlights in terms of how to join the community. Yeah. You are on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Over to
Hello?
you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pam. Thanks so much. So I was going to briefly talk about, why we should be a part of this beautiful community. So let me just touch on that quickly. So community is powerful because growth does not happen in isolation. So as professionals, many of us are navigating careers, leadership and change, and trying to do that alone can be very exhausting. So community allows for collective success. It also creates visible opportunities. And then from my experience working in community, I have seen how powerful it is when people feel supported, seen, and connected. Our guest speaker earlier, he was telling us his story and then giving all the credit to his mentors. So that's the power of community and mentorship. So Inspired Growth is a community built for people who want to grow intentionally, not randomly. And being a part of Inspired Growth means being part of a community that values learning and leadership, encourages meaningful connection, and creates space for opportunity and visibility. So let me quickly talk about the different tiers of our membership, how you can be a member of Inspired Growth. So the first one is as a corporate or organization. This one is our corporate membership, which is for organizations and businesses that are intentionally investing in their people and leadership pipelines. So this membership is ideal for organizations that want to support their teams through learning, leadership development, and meaningful conversations. It includes membership seats for team members, customized group masterclasses, organizational insight reports, team coaching and facilitated conversations, and discounted access to our summit and programs like the one that's coming up in April. So you will be getting access to events like that. For individual professionals, this option is amazing because you will be able to attend you will be able to get coaching, you will be able to be a part of exclusive roundtables, and then you'll also get invitation-only leadership circles and priority access to workshops and cohorts. This membership is for people who are serious about their growth and want to be a part of supportive and intentional professional community. And I'm sure that's everyone who has joined this call, because I know that's why you joined this call, because you are very intentional about your professional career. The other one is for unemployed women and youth between the ages of 18 to 35. Now, this is free membership. Of course, we will do the due diligence. We will do all the verification. So we offer free membership for unemployed women and youth aged 18 to 35. And this is because we strongly believe that access to learning, networks, and opportunity should not be limited by financial circumstances. Now, this includes full access to our online portal, monthly live learning sessions, networking forums, member rate discounts, and quarterly virtual checks-in. All this for free for people who are unemployed. Okay, so these are, the ways how you can become a member. Now the question is, how do you then become a member? So to become a member, firstly, please visit our website, www.inspiredgrowth.co.za, and on the top left, it says membership. So if you click on that, there will be a form that you will be able to fill in, and then you will become a member. If you complete that form, we will get the notification, and then we'll reach out to you. The other option is for you to send an email to info@inspiredgrowth.co.za, and we'll respond to your email, and then the necessary process will follow through from then. The third option is for you to connect with Pam or myself. You can connect with us on LinkedIn, or you can send us an email. So if you are interested in becoming a member, please do send us a message on LinkedIn. So I encourage everyone on this call, please, to go to our website and then navigate through the different options and see which option works for you. Thank you so much, Pam. That is it from me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mary, with that. Really informative. So it's as simple as that. Go to our website, all the info is there. So let us now welcome Mr. Ndaba. Mr. Ndaba, Mary, if you can put the slide that has Mr. Ndaba's picture and his segment. So Mr. Ndaba, please unmute and put on your video. And so Mr. Veli Ndaba he will just give us context in terms of who he is, but we've been blessed and fortunate to have him on our board as Inspired Growth NPC. So he is one of our advisory board members that has really donated his time and this cause in terms of empowering others, giving others access to information, opportunities, and dignity in the leadership and inclusion space. Mr. Ndaba, welcome. How are you? So I know that initially we said you have 15 minutes. Now you have 10 minutes. And, being the speaker that you are, you use your 10 minutes wisely. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Pam, and good evening, everyone. And my name is Veli Ndaba. Yes, of course, for the sake of time. I am someone who's very passionate about introducing people to themselves. So I've done this through my journey of authoring 5 books. So the first book is called You Are Born to Win. Second book is called Your Dream is Calling You. And then the third book is called Switch On Your Personal Power. And then the fourth book is called Set Your Soul on Fire. And then the final book is called The Neuroscience of Effective Leadership, as you can see in the book. I mean, like on the slides there. So what really, inspires me as a person is not just people just performing, based on their academic qualifications, but it's about understanding what really drives them. So with my background in engineering, I studied mechanical engineering, at the beginning, then I went on to study project management, then I did a BSc in management science, and then I've done NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, and I've done life coaching. And my passion became more about understanding the science of human behavior. So this book, The Neuroscience of Effective Leadership, all I'm doing here is to unpack what really drives human behavior. So when you do what you do, what happens in the brain neurologically? So what neural networks are activated when you do something? And also hormonally, what neurochemistry is activated based on what you do? And then thirdly, we are looking at the perception, like perceptually, what happens when you are excited? What happens when you are stressed out? Because most of the time, when you talk about corporations, when you talk about management and leadership, we talk about them interchangeably. But when you look at management is more about things like dashboards. It's more about matrix. It's more about processes. But when you look at leadership is more about people. And you cannot understand people until you understand how the human brain works. That is human nature. That's why someone once said that to really understand, to be a great leader, you need to understand what drives human behavior. So for me as Veli Ndaba, I developed one of the models that I use. It's like a global model, which is called the Veli Ndaba Neuroengineering Leadership Effect, which is based on 3 phases. So the first phase that I help leaders and I help teams and I help individuals understand is that one of the brain anatomy, which is like the mechanics of a car. You cannot know how to fix the car until you understand the components of the car. So you need to be taught to understand that this is the radiator of the car, this is the motor, this is the fender, this is the gearbox, so that when there's a problem that you're experiencing, then you know where to go. But at the moment, when it comes to us as human beings, we don't understand how the brain works. It's like when your lights or your car lights won't come on and you call someone and they tell you that check your tire pressure. When you think of your tire pressure, it's got nothing to do with the car lights not coming on. So it's the same thing with us. We always get told about how to deal with things. No. Just be stress-free. You can't be stress-free. You will die if you are to be stress-free because biologically, stress is there to help us perform. But there's good stress and there's bad stress. So I help people understand what is good stress and what is bad stress because you cannot perform. You can't even wake up in the morning if you don't have stress because stress is defined by its chemical component, which is cortisol. So cortisol is the one that helps you wake up in the morning. And you cannot even write an exam if you don't have cortisol in your bloodstream. So these are the things and the misconceptions that are demystified in this book, The Neuroscience of Effective Leadership. So to unpack this offering, I do three things, and we call them the performance. The performance ecosystem. So I do leadership talks, and keynotes for organizations and like private, like other organizations. It can be private sector or public sector. And then number two, then I do workshops because when you deliver keynotes, it's about self-awareness. It's about awareness. And then the second one, which is workshops, is about imparting skills. So when you are empowered to do something, it doesn't mean that you can do it, but you are illuminated. You have that understanding of how to do it. But where you get to change is when you include the third element, which is coaching. So this is neurocoaching. So in coaching, this is where human behavior takes place. And you cannot change until you really understand what drives habits and what drives things like behavioral change. So all these things are driven at an emotional level. So I unpack all these interventions using neuroscience, and hence this book, it basically encapsulates everything. What makes a leader effective? So the book is not the neuroscience of leadership. It says the neuroscience of effective leadership. So when you are effective as a leader, it means you are able to create an environment where people can come back or are able to bring their best selves to work. Like what we've heard, with Batabile just flying and doing all these wonderful things. What makes him a great leader or an effective leader is not because he's the he's the one who is highly educated, but it's because he is able to connect with people at an emotional level. So for me, therefore, as a neuroengineer, who is someone who combines both neuroscience and engineering, to deliver the understanding of how people can be able to raise the game and raise the bar of understanding themselves. This is something that you really want to consider because without coaching, without mentoring as well, you'll never go far. That's why it is said that you cannot see the picture if you're in a frame. You need someone, you need to have a coach, you need to have a mentor, someone who's going to see something great for you and in you, and someone that can take you to a place that you've never been. You look at the likes of Dr. Pat Mazibuko, who ensured and guided, Batabile to be the person that he is today, because he was willing, but also he was someone who had the energy and the passion, and it's someone who was willing to pay the price. Because whenever you do something and you've achieved great things, people are very quick to reduce that to luck and intelligence. And I happen to travel the world, and one thing that I say is that don't ask people to say, man, what did you do to be so fortunate? You are so lucky, you are so intelligent. Ask them the question, what did you sacrifice for you to be where you are? What did you do repeatedly what others couldn't do for you to be where you are? So I think for me, this is something, and I know it's a big topic that we can talk about, but I'll stop it at that. And I say to you, as Veli Ndaba, mine is to transform minds from mental darkness to mental light. That's what Veli Ndaba does. So if you really want you want to be transformed from mental darkness to mental light, where your dreams are, then connect with us. And also, when you look at Inspired Growth NPC, this is the place that you want to be. You want to be able to join in and be able to see how you can benefit and you can help others as well unleash their power. This is Veli Ndaba, your neuroengineer. Thank you very much, Pam.
Thank you so much. So thank you so much, Mr. Ndaba. Spot on time, even though we reduced your time, but thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Mr. Ndaba has explained who he is and what he does. And also, just in terms of our breaking rights and inspired growth, he's also, again, one of our advisory board members, and we are just really, really so fortunate. So thank you so much, and we appreciate you. So on that note, we've got 4 minutes left of this session, and we will humbly request our executive director to lead us to a close in the next 4 or 3.5 minutes. But please also, just before Dr. Peck comes on, please do connect with Veli Ndaba. He is on LinkedIn, he's very active on LinkedIn. Connect and check out what he does in terms of his services, and just engage in some of his workshops as well. So thank you so much. Dr. Pett, over to you, leading us to a close. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And I like pushing an envelope. So I'm going to do what people don't expect me to do. I'm going to call upon Professor Alfred Msomi and Jabu Msomi to basically give us a key take-home message, just like 15 seconds each, in that order. Prof. Msomi, please switch on and give us your key take-home message for today, followed by Jabu Msomi as well. Prof? Jabu, please come in once the Adam Msomi is trying to get himself ready.
Okay, they're coming.
Proceed. Go ahead. All right. Let me do this. I hope they will come in. But colleagues, let me just reflect on this. Pam, thank you so much for driving this vehicle so well. You started off by the introduction, followed by an excellent outline of Inspired Growth NPC. That was done very well. But one thing that I also like was about our guest. Our guest for today, he gave us an excellent outline of facilities management. Key to his speech is the fact that what is it that you as a person brings to the FM fraternity that becomes a value proposition for your client. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. But, for those that came in late, fellow colleagues, is that FM is about finance, it's about stakeholders, it's about politics, it's about technology, but also one other thing that he said, it's also about social environment and governance, because these are the things that are important. Within the FM space, if you basically try and break down what he said, is that SEG, it gives you a license to operate. So thank you so much for that. Key to the issue is also what Mary brought us up to us, the fact that, you all have an opportunity to be part and parcel of the Inspired Growth family. And she basically painted a picture of how do you come on board and be part and parcel of us. But also in the interest of time, I thought, let me just steal a little bit from Veli when he said, quote unquote, what did you do or what did you sacrifice for you to be here today? It is one message that I'm taking home. You've done a pretty good job. That being said, I also want to invite people to connect with each and every one of us offline. And I'm mindful of the fact that it is now 1930. Let me wish you well and God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Pett. And with that, we'd like to thank everyone that joined today's session. If you did not get a chance to ask a question or you've got a burning question in your mind, please find the people that presented today. Find us on LinkedIn, go to our website, introduce yourself, don't be shy. We are doing this so that we can get to know each other and build community. Thank you to our guests. Thank you to the Inspired Growth Leadership team. And thank you to all the leaders, to each and every one of you that joined today. We really, really appreciate you. So, but before you go, I will just ask one thing, just in the next 10 seconds, for me to take a picture of the screen. It's always very, very wonderful to see how these screens look like with everyone that has attended. And it's also just good for memories as well, because we are very active on social media, but then it will not be used in a way that will compromise you, of course. So please follow us on social media, follow us on our channels. All of our social media channels are on our website. So we will send you the YouTube link to this recording. And thank you so much, and take care, and God bless. We have these sessions on a monthly basis. The next one will be on the 3rd Thursday of February. We will have another impactful guest and another impactful Inspire Growth Advisory Board member that will share their profiles into who they are and what they do. Mr. Batabile, Mr. Veli, Ndaba, Dr. Pat, Mary, and myself, of course. I'd also like to thank myself for moderating this session, and also thank everyone that has joined today out of your busy time. It is really much appreciated. Thank you, and goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone. Night.
Bye, everyone.